Chosen one, can you remember how many nights you cried for change? How many times you prayed with tears, asking God for a new life, for promises to finally come alive? You thought heaven was silent, but every word, every sigh, every tear was being recorded. Now, the moment has come. This Thursday, September 12th, the life you prayed for begins. Not tomorrow, not someday, now. The harvest is ready. The doors that once seemed closed are opening. The answers you longed for are unfolding right in front of you. And I ask you, will you treat this as just another day, or will you rise to live the very life you once only prayed for? Chosen one, every seed you have sown in tears, every prayer whispered in silence, every moment you remained faithful when nothing seemed to change, none of it has been wasted. What you thought disappeared into the void was planted in unseen soil. For years, it seemed like nothing was happening, but roots were growing where you could not see. The ground was preparing to break open. And now, the Spirit says, clearly, the time of harvest has come. Harvest does not arrive overnight. It is the culmination of hidden processes. The seed must die before it can live. And in that hidden death, new life is formed. You endured the weight of waiting, the silence of unanswered nights, the pain of unanswered questions. You wondered, was I ever heard? Did my words reach heaven? And the answer is yes. Every prayer was gathered like precious rain, stored until the appointed time. That appointed time is now. This Thursday, September 12th, is not simply a date. It is the outward sign of what has been happening inwardly all along. The harvest is not only in the events unfolding around you, but also in the transformation that has taken place within you. Look at yourself closely, the patience you now carry, the endurance you built, the discernment sharpened through the fire. These are not small things. They are proof that heaven has been preparing you to hold the weight of fulfillment. The first fruits of harvest may appear subtle, perhaps a conversation that sparks unexpected direction, an opportunity that seems to open effortlessly, or a peace settling where there was once only conflict. These are not small accidents. They are the early fruits of the harvest season. The key is to recognize them, to celebrate them, and to allow your faith to grow as you see that the invisible is becoming visible. And yet, the harvest is not only about receiving, it is also about responsibility. A field ready for harvest requires hands to gather, to protect, to cultivate. The new life you prayed for is not a gift to be left unattended. It is an assignment to be stewarded. If you treat the answered prayers as common, you risk losing the depth of what heaven has entrusted to you. But if you honor it, water it, and protect it, your harvest will multiply. Do not be surprised if the harvest also comes with disruption. Some things must fall away so that the field can produce fully. Relationships may shift. Old habits may feel too heavy to carry. Environments that once felt comfortable may suddenly feel restrictive. This is part of the process. The harvest season separates what is fruitful from what is barren, what belongs to the new life from what belongs only to the past. Chosen one, you prayed for this. You asked heaven for transformation. And now the Spirit says, look around you. The signs are everywhere. The very atmosphere testifies. The waiting has turned into movement, the silence into confirmation, the longing into manifestation. What you once only held in hope, you now begin to hold in your hands. And I ask you, will you recognize this moment as the harvest it truly is, or will you let it pass as though nothing changed? Will you lift your eyes and declare, "This is my time of harvest," or will you hesitate, still acting as if you are in the season of waiting? Because one truth is undeniable: the harvest has come, and the life you prayed for begins now. Chosen one, before you see the fullness of the new life manifest, you must understand where it began. Nothing that is happening now appeared suddenly. The origins of your new life stretch far back into the hidden places of your journey, in moments of pain, in whispers of prayer, in nights when you thought no one saw you. Heaven was writing long before your eyes could read. You may think your new life began the day heaven said yes, but in truth, it began when you refused to give up during the apparent number. Every time you prayed when you felt nothing, you were building a foundation. Every time you stayed faithful when it would have been easier to walk away, you were sowing into this very moment. The discipline of silence, the perseverance of faith, the endurance of tears, these became the unseen roots of what is now breaking the surface. Look back at the closed doors, at the relationships that ended suddenly, at the opportunities that slipped through your fingers. You thought you were losing, but those endings were not abandonment. They were protection. Heaven did not allow you to settle in places that could not hold the weight of what was coming. The disappointment was real, yes, but it was not destruction. It was redirection. And look deeper within yourself. The origins of your new life are not just in circumstances, but in who you became. The silence trained your ears to listen more closely. The waiting stretched your capacity to hold faith. The pain deepened your compassion. The loneliness sharpened your sensitivity. This is why you are not the same person who first prayed those prayers. You have been transformed so that you could sustain the life you longed for. Perhaps you asked for God to change everything around you, but instead, He first changed everything within you. That inner recreation is the truest beginning of your new life. Without it, the external blessings would have crushed you. With it, you are ready to walk in them. There were also prophetic words spoken over you, promises released years ago, verses that burned into your spirit, moments when someone spoke life into you without even knowing your story. You thought they were forgotten, but heaven never loses its words. They were folded into the script of your destiny, waiting for the moment of fulfillment. And now, as this Thursday approaches, those words are surfacing again. Chosen one, understand this clearly. Your new life is not fragile. It has deep roots. It was born in tears, tested in silence, stretched in waiting. That is why no storm can uproot it now. What is unfolding is not a sudden accident, but the fruit of years of invisible preparation. So I ask you, will you treat this new beginning as a shallow coincidence, or will you honor it as the culmination of everything heaven has been building in secret? Will you recognize that the life beginning now is not sudden, but sacred? Because the origins of your new life prove one thing: heaven has always been faithful, and what begins this Thursday is not a random start. It is the unveiling of what has been prepared all along. Chosen one, when heaven moves, it never does so in silence. Long before the promise fully manifests, signs begin to appear. Whispers in the atmosphere, subtle shifts in your spirit, undeniable confirmations that the season has changed. To the distracted, these may seem like coincidences, but to you, who have been waiting with eyes open and heart ready, they are clear evidence. The life you prayed for has already begun. Some of the first signs appear in your body. Have you felt strange waves of fatigue, as though carrying something heavy you cannot explain, or the opposite, sudden bursts of energy, restlessness in the night, waking at unusual hours without reason? Your body is more spiritual than you realize. It responds to what your spirit already knows. Heaven has moved. These physical sensations are not random. They are the vibration of divine alignment, touching flesh and bone. Dreams are another stage for confirmation. Perhaps you have experienced nights where sleep felt less like rest and more like a journey. Images so vivid, they linger even after waking. People you have not seen in years appearing suddenly. Symbols repeating themselves, carrying hidden meaning. This is not your imagination running wild. It is the spirit bypassing the noise of your conscious mind to plant revelation directly into your soul. Dreams intensify when prayers are turning into reality. The signs also surround you in the environment. Words from strangers strike your heart as if they were answers to your secret prayers. A song plays at the perfect moment, echoing back to what you just whispered in silence. Numbers repeat themselves on clocks, receipts, and signs. Even nature feels different. The air heavier, the silence more alive, the light sharper. Creation itself testifies when heaven begins to shift the course of a life. Relationships, too, can reveal the signs. People reappearing at unexpected times. Connections forming suddenly with perfect timing. Encounters that feel divinely orchestrated rather than accidental. These are not random crossings of paths. They are part of the new fabric heaven is weaving around you. Each interaction is a thread pulling you into alignment with the new life unfolding. But not all signs come dressed in comfort. Some appear as disruption. A door you depended on closes without warning. A relationship you thought secure begins to unravel. Circumstances shift suddenly, pulling you out of what felt stable. At first, you may think you are being abandoned, but these disruptions are not rejection. They are redirection. They are heaven, clearing away what cannot go with you into the new season. And then there are the internal signs. Peace rising where there used to be anxiety, courage surfacing where fear once paralyzed you, tears that come without pain, as though your soul is releasing what it carried for too long. The heart knows before the mind understands. It feels the shift before it can explain it. These inner signs are heaven's way of saying, "Look, I have already begun." The danger is to dismiss all this as chance. Many pray for confirmation, but when it comes, they call it coincidence. They explain away the very answers they begged for. Do not fall into this trap. Sensitivity is part of your calling. You were chosen not only to see the thunder, but also to hear the whisper. Chosen one, take note. Write down the signs, record the dreams, honor the coincidences as confirmations. The more you recognize them, the clearer they will become. And as you recognize them, your faith will grow stronger. Because the signs do not lie. And I ask you, will you treat these confirmations as random accidents? Or will you see them as heaven's fingerprints on your story? Will you ignore the whispers, or will you declare boldly, The answer has already come. I see it. I feel it. I know it. Because the truth is undeniable. The signs are already here, and they declare what heaven has already decreed. The life you prayed for has begun. Chosen one, there is a sacred moment when what you once only whispered in faith begins to take form before your very eyes. The words you cried into the secret place, the pleas you thought disappeared into silence, now return to you as living answers. This is the moment when prayer ceases to be only hope and becomes reality, and that moment has arrived for you. Think back to how many times you prayed the same prayer, night after night, year after year. At first, your words carried strength and hope, but as time passed, waiting wore down your expectation. Silence made you question if heaven had heard at all. There were nights you thought, maybe my prayer isn't enough. Maybe it will never happen. But every word, every sigh, every tear was stored. Heaven wastes nothing. When prayer becomes reality, it rarely looks the way you imagined. You might have asked for one thing, but heaven answered with something greater. You asked for a door to open, and instead entire paths were carved out. You asked for someone to stay, and instead, heaven removed them to make room for who was meant to come. Answers often arrive disguised as disruptions, but if you look closely, you'll see that they carry exactly what you asked for, only in a form that could truly sustain you. Prayer, becoming reality, unfolds in stages. First, the subtle, a shift in atmosphere, a word spoken by someone who had no idea they were confirming your secret request. Then, the transitional, old patterns breaking, opportunities resurfacing, people repositioning around you. And finally, the undeniable, what you can touch, see, and walk into. By the time it reaches your hands, heaven has already been working on it for far longer than you realize. But the greatest evidence that your prayer has become reality is not outside you, it is inside. Look at yourself, the strength you now carry, the patience forged in waiting, the faith that survived silence. These are not the marks of someone still asking. They are the fruit of someone already receiving. The prayer changed you first, so that when the answer arrived, you would not collapse under its weight. And here lies a mystery. The answer is not the end of the prayer, but the beginning of a new journey. Many think that when heaven responds, the story is complete. But in truth, the answer is only the starting line of a greater unfolding. What you asked for is just the seed. What heaven gives is the tree. And with the tree comes fruit, shade, and generations yet to be blessed. That is why you must not treat this lightly. Many receive answers, but fail to honor them. And so they miss the fullness of what was given. Do not let this be you. Recognize the moment. Honor the reality. Speak aloud, I am living what I once only prayed for. This declaration is not arrogance. It is gratitude, and gratitude multiplies blessing. Chosen one, the silence you endured was never denial. It was timing. The tears you shed were never forgotten. They were watering the very ground you now stand on. And now, the harvest has begun. You prayed, you waited, and today, you live what you once could only imagine. So I ask you, will you embrace this season fully, or will you hesitate, still thinking you are waiting? Will you step into reality with boldness, or will you continue speaking as if you are still in the silence? Because heaven declares your prayer has crossed the line. It is no longer only hope. It is no longer only words. It has become reality. And reality is where you are now called to live. How to walk in the new time. Chosen one. Receiving the new life you prayed for is only the beginning. The greater challenge is learning how to walk in it. Many enter the threshold of promise but fail to sustain it. They treat what is sacred as common, and what was given as miracle fades under the weight of neglect. Heaven is saying to you now, this is not the season to drift. It is the season to walk with intention. The first step is to shift your mindset. You can no longer think as one who waits. If you keep speaking as if the answer is still far off, you will blind yourself to what is already unfolding. Stop saying, one day it will happen, and start declaring, it has begun. This is not denial of what you don't yet see in full. It is faith in what has already started. The mind is the gate through which the new time flows. If your thoughts remain in the past, your feet cannot move into the future. The second step is to adjust your priorities. The habits that carried you through the waiting season cannot sustain you in the living season. What once helped you survive may now become a distraction. Ask yourself daily, does this align with the new time I'm in? The new life demands focus. It is not about filling every space with activity, but about guarding your time and an energy for what heaven is breathing on now. The third step is to prepare your environment. Atmosphere matters. The places you dwell in either nurture the new life or choke it. Remove the clutter, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Create spaces for prayer, reflection, and silence. Let worship fill the air. When your environment reflects expectation, your spirit remains aligned. This is not about ritual, but about honor. Honor attracts presence, and presence sustains promise. The fourth step is to stay rooted in discipline. When the waiting was long, prayer and devotion were your lifeline. Do not abandon them now that the answer has arrived. This is the mistake many make. They receive and then grow careless. But the new time requires even greater depth. Prayer keeps you sharp. Worship keeps you soft. Silence keeps you discerning. These practices are not optional. They are survival for the soul, stepping into destiny. The fifth step is to move with courage. The answers you prayed for will often manifest as opportunities requiring bold action. Doors will open suddenly, and hesitation can cause them to close. Do not let fear convince you that you are unworthy or unprepared. The very fact that heaven has accelerated you means you are ready. Step forward when the moment comes. Courage is the language of the new season. The sixth step is to release the need for approval. Not everyone will understand the change in your life. Some will doubt it, others will resist it. A few may even mock it. But the new life was given to you, not to them. Do not measure your steps by their reactions. You were chosen, and heaven's approval outweighs human opinion. Walk boldly, even when misunderstood. The seventh step is to walk humbly. The danger of breakthrough is pride. You may be tempted to think the answer came because of your strength alone. But humility guards your heart. It keeps you soft, teachable, and aligned with the one who gave the promise in the first place. Remember, grace carried you here, and only grace will keep you here. Finally, know this: walking in the new time is not just for you. It is for others. The life you prayed for is also a testimony. Others will see your story and be reminded that their prayers too are heard. You become living proof that heaven responds. Chosen one, you asked, you waited, and now you are living. But the question is, will you walk in the new time with fear or with faith, with hesitation or with boldness? Because heaven has made it clear. The life you prayed for has begun. Now it is your responsibility to walk in it with faith, honor, and courage. What cannot go with you? Chosen one, every new season demands separation. You cannot carry everything from yesterday into the life that has begun today. The prayers you prayed have opened a door, but it is a narrow one. Only what is aligned with heaven's purpose can pass through. If you insist on dragging the old into the new, you will slow yourself down, or even miss what was meant to be yours. This is why heaven is whispering now. Some things cannot go with you. The first weight you must leave behind is the old mindset. Fear, doubt, and scarcity have no place in the new life. If you continue to think like someone who is waiting, you will fail to live like someone who has received. Stop rehearsing the lies that once governed you. I will never make it. It's too late. Nothing ever changes. These cannot travel with you. The new time demands a renewed mind, one that declares daily, it has begun. I am living what I prayed for. The second is toxic relationships. Some people were part of your process, but cannot be part of your promise. They were necessary in shaping you, but they cannot accompany you into fulfillment. Perhaps they doubt you, drain you, or dismiss the move of God in your life. Carrying them into this new season would be like carrying dead weight on a rising journey. Release them with love, but release them. Heaven is sending aligned companions who will walk with you at the pace of promise. The third is resentment and unforgiveness. Unresolved pain acts like a chain, tying you to yesterday. You cannot step fully into tomorrow while clinging to the bitterness of what was. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is freedom. It does not say what happened was right. It says it will no longer define you. Leave the grudges on the threshold. If you carry them into the new, they will contaminate the harvest. The fourth is the illusion of control. In the waiting, you often tried to force outcomes, to hold tightly to what felt stable. But in this new time, control is an anchor that drags you backward. Heaven is moving faster than your understanding, and if you insist on predicting every turn, you will stumble. Trust is your only strategy now. Surrender your grip and let God's hand lead you into what you cannot yet see. The fifth is the fear of failure. Doors will open suddenly. Opportunities will appear quickly. If you let fear dominate, you will hesitate. And hesitation in this season can cost you what you prayed for. Understand this. You will not be perfect in every step. But heaven does not demand perfection. It demands faith. Move forward, even trembling. The act of stepping is itself alignment with the new. The sixth is distractions and draining habits. The new life requires focus. Endless noise, wasted time, cycles of distraction, these will choke your clarity. If you want to walk fully in the promise, guard your mind, your schedule, your atmosphere. Let go of what numbs you or keeps you small. Fill your life with what strengthens your spirit, sharpens your focus, and fuels your faith. Finally, you must leave behind the belief that nothing has changed. This is perhaps the most dangerous of all. If you convince yourself that your prayers are still unanswered, you will live as though you are still in the waiting room, even while standing in the fulfillment. Heaven has moved. The signs are here. The harvest has begun. To deny this is to dishonor what God is doing. Chosen one, the separation may feel painful. Letting go always does. But remember this: what you release now is not loss. It is clearing space. The door is open, but it requires you to drop the weights that cannot pass through. So I ask you, will you cling to yesterday and forfeit tomorrow? Or will you let go and step freely into the new? Will you drag old chains across the threshold? Or will you walk light into the life you prayed for? Because one thing is certain: some things cannot go with you. And the sooner you release them, the freer you will be to live the fullness of the life heaven has already begun. Chosen one, we have reached the end of this word. But what is ending here is only the beginning of your new life. The truth you must hold above every doubt is this: the life you prayed for has already begun. It is not a dream reserved for the distant future. It is not a possibility hanging in the air. It is present. It is active. It is unfolding right now. Look around you. The signs are undeniable. The heaviness that once pressed on you has begun to lift. The opportunities that once felt unreachable are beginning to align. The clarity you thought would never return is shining again in your mind and spirit. These are not random changes. They are heaven's fingerprints, proof that God has kept his word and that you are living in the answers you once only imagined. This is not the time to doubt or minimize what has happened. Do not say, maybe nothing changed, when everything around you declares otherwise. Do not shrink back into the posture of waiting when you are already standing in fulfillment. Faith must now shift from asking to living, from hoping to stewarding, from waiting to walking. The prayers have crossed over into reality, and your task is to live them fully. Remember this: the enemy cannot steal what has been given, but he can deceive you into ignoring it. If you believe nothing has changed, you will live as though nothing has. That is his strategy, to blind you to your own answered prayers. Do not fall into this trap. Open your eyes. Speak it with your mouth. Declare it with your life. My new life has already begun. Chosen one, this Thursday will be remembered not as an ordinary day, but as a holy marker. It will be the line in your story, dividing the before from the after. In the future, when doubts come, you will point back to this moment and say, that was when everything shifted. That was when I stepped into the life I had prayed for. That was when I knew heaven had heard me. This new life will not be without challenges, but the difference now is that you carry the strength forged in waiting, the wisdom sharpened by silence, and the faith purified by fire. You are not who you were. You are stronger, deeper, steadier. You are no longer just the one who prays. You are the one who lives in the answered prayer. So walk boldly, speak with confidence, live with gratitude, share your testimony so that others may see that what God has done for you, he can also do for them. Your life has become living proof that heaven responds, that promises are real, that prayer has power. And now I ask you, will you embrace this truth and live as one whose life has begun anew? Or will you shrink back, pretending nothing has changed? Will you honor this season as sacred? Or will you let it fade into ordinary memory? Because one thing is undeniable: The life you prayed for is no longer coming. It has already arrived. Your life has already begun.